Okay, my name is Sam Romano, and I am really pleased to be here today and to be with a lot of old friends, my UNA friends, and we are all doing this work together, and we're all honoring each other.
Thank you, Sam. And tell us a little about what you do.
Okay, my wife Susie and I live in Oregon, Wisconsin, and we grew our family in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. So mostly we're southern Wisconsin folks. We have 3 adult children, 9 grandchildren. I still do part-time counseling, 2 days a week, mental health and alcohol and drug counseling, and used to be very involved, more so than I am now, with UNA. I was the division president for many years, probably dating back from 1992 to about 2011.
Okay, of the whole state of Wisconsin, right?
Right.
Wow. And who inspired or motivated you in your life?
It's a big question, Debbie.
Uh-oh.
As we talked previously, I attended St. Francis Seminary when I was after high school. And when I was in the seminary, it was the time of Vatican II and social gospels and working for peace and justice. And I had the great honor and pleasure of going to school with many wonderful young men, and we were all idealistic and great solid guys. And at the time there was a lot of activism. There was Jim Gruppy in Milwaukee working for civil rights. There was Mike Cullen working for peace, and I had the opportunity at the seminary to really sort of be exposed to a lot of wonderful authors who tied this tradition together, this peace and justice tradition for me, and people like Chardin and John McQuarrie, who talked about reconciling the world.
Right, and Vietnam was going on.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's one of the things that interested you in international affairs.
It did. After I left the seminary, I applied for a conscientious objector status because I didn't want to shoot anybody, and I got that. And then I was very pleased because in my adult life I always kept those values going of that conscientious objector status. Mm-hmm. And I felt justified over the course of my life for doing this work for 40 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then you had kids, so your activism did what between you and your children?
Okay, well, one of the things I've always talked about is when we first became parents, my wife Susie and I attended a lot of parenting education together with good friends. And I always thought, well, we're looking to provide a safe environment and nurture our kids. And you just can't do that in your household or your local community, because if they're really going to be safe and they're going to have good options, then they have to live in a safe, healthy world.
Beautiful.
And so I always thought of my peace work as an extension of parenting, and now it's an extension of grandparenting.
Wow. And how do you feel about the United Nations?
In 45 words or less. The United Nations, I've been so pleased. I've had great teachers, people, that I've learned in UNA and World Federalists, people like and Everett Reefier, Mirabel Deming, Ruth Miner. I learned a lot from these people. And what I've learned is the UN is a work in progress. The UN does great work. The UN, as an ideal, has both sheriffs and social workers, and providing security and order is really important, mm-hmm. and providing a sustainable, healthy environment, mm-hmm. where people are fed and healthcare needs are met.
Right. So you're not a total pacifist then, like you were originally.
That's correct.
Uh-huh.
That's a good point. And especially with the UN reforms in the year 2000, Kofi Annan talked about these three pillars of peace and security, sustainable development, and human rights. And you really need some time. You need least intrusive, effective power so that there is order and peace. And you really can't have humanitarians needs met if you don't have that.
That's
when,
for sure.
when I was growing up and we were growing our family in Elkhorn, I was always very pleased that the local police department and sheriff's department were in my town. I thought, well, geez, these are the sheriffs that we need.
That's for sure.
And then I was part of the social workers.
Right.
So
yes, you were.
Yeah.
And what type of activism do you think is best to call attention maybe to reforming the United Nations, or do you believe in the big protests, or how can we be most effective?
I believe in doing what we're doing today, having these great dinners, being with friends who have like-minded, yearnings and thoughts, and bringing their energy. And the hard work of peace is doing what we're doing. We're educating ourselves. We're trying to educate the public. We're doing our advocacy with our legislators. Oftentimes people will do that face to face. We'll do that in letters. But that's kind of the hard work of peace. And what we're learning is electoral politics is also very, very critical. We're learning that now.
We sure are.
Yes.
And what are some of the rewards of your life as an activist, Sam?
Well, I've been really fortunate to meet wonderful, friendly souls like yourself, and so many wonderful people along the way, because people don't get involved in this work if their hearts aren't in the right place. And I remember getting involved probably around 1986, and I've been doing it since. But then I met people who were doing this from 1945. And so probably a lot of those folks and good souls are leaving us now. But they were doing it for 60 years, 60, 65 years. So they were good teachers, very inspiring. Yeah, that's probably been a big thing, yeah.
Well, thank you for being here, Sam. You're a very worthy honoree, and thank you for your decades of activism for our wonderful cause.
Thanks, and I would like to say thanks to my family for supporting all of this. Some people in our family go to meetings. Some people support the work we're doing. And, and thanks to all my friends.
Thank you, Sam.